All right, hey guys.
Welcome back.
All right, it's Holden here.
And Jacob.
All right, we got our podcast going.
I hope you guys all had a good week.
Yeah, we're recording this on an early Saturday morning.
Yeah, nice and fresh.
It's the last weekend before school officially starts here.
Yeah, summer is over.
Summer is over.
Time to go back to the grind.
Although we've got one more party coming up here.
In like 2 hours. So.
The Saturday Darty. Always a fun one.
Oh, I like Darties. That way I can still be productive.
Kind of. Well,
Kind of.
the next day.
The next day I can.
At least.
Yeah.
Parties can be fun and going that way can be fun, but sometimes it just feels pretty bad to lose a whole next day.
I know. I feel like an old man because this week I could have gone out at night, but I'm like, I need to fucking sleep.
Yeah.
I have to get my sleep, otherwise I just can't function.
I'm the same way. You feel a lot better and you kind of get a lot more done, obviously.
Yeah, and also you just, like, your body is not functioning at capacity when you don't have enough sleep.
Exactly. It's kind of crazy how a lot of people think that they're doing a lot better until you actually like look at the studies and see how much sleep actually matters.
Yeah. Like you get Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
It's crazy that's a fact now, but I've never, I heard it all from, the Joe Rogan podcast with that sleep expert, what's his face? Matt Walker, I think.
That sounds about right. I've listened to that one, but I kind of got turned on to that stuff earlier on.
Yeah.
Even in high school, I was reading a lot about health.
But still, I guess no one really says that you need, that's one reason why you need sleep. Otherwise,
People,
you can.
Especially in America, are not very cognizant of their health, and especially eating and sleeping and exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy. Just one of the big things that I'm reminded of, just because I like to exercise a lot, and everyone knows or should know that exercise is very important, but in the factors of your life, it's diet, sleep, then exercise. Like, sleep is the second most important thing.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Especially for, long term, too, because, exercising, I think you see the most immediate effects. And diet, too, because I started eating, very healthy and, kind of setting goals for myself with that at the start of the school year. Or, no, at the start of 2018. And I've seen, massive differences. And I think you just become more aware of your body and more in sync with it. So when I'm in a bad mood, it's like, okay, is this thing really pissing me off, or am I just hungry?
Have I been eating a lot of complex carbs and my body doesn't feel good and isn't functioning well, and so I might be in a bad mood because of that.
I think too, people don't even you might be aware of its effect on, if you're tired or not, but also sometimes I feel more anxious or something after eating certain certain foods.
If you're eating a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
I feel anxiety coming on from that.
Yeah. So definitely gotta watch. But sugar is also so good but addicting, and such a slippery slope.
It's a little catch-22 there.
Yeah.
So what do we got on the agenda for today?
Today, we have no agenda. Like we always do. We just kind of go.
We're going to meander our way through this until we figure out what we're doing exactly.
We'll find a direction, guys. This is a journey that you're taking with us.
Yeah, if anyone's listening right now, or if in the future, for some reason, people are going back and listening through, these will be the weird early episodes. I love that, all the podcasts that I listen to, especially listening to some before they're really a big production.
Yeah.
And just how podcasts have evolved to be a bigger thing.
Yeah.
And it's weird to see some just go through and turn into this really big professional thing, but then you go back, or I'm thinking of just like, for example, like Stuff You Should Know, their early stuff where it's just like 20 minutes of just a little cursory glance at a topic.
Yeah. Have you ever gone back and listened to like one of the first episodes of podcasts? I can't. It's so. I mean, because it's true they do suck in the beginning because a lot of, or they don't necessarily always suck, but the production value on them, like the audio is so much more worse.
Yeah, and the audio is usually a big thing, and then content can be different.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like some can evolve as they go on and just get a lot more professional in their content, or a lot more streamlined in figuring out what they're doing with it. And as people get a following, then they realize what they want to do.
Yeah, and you just get better at podcast. You get better at talking instead of like, 'cause there's stuff you should do. You do in like a normal conversation that you don't do in a podcast. Gotta let others talk.
It's kind of crazy how just having a normal conversation doesn't sound right or good necessarily in a recorded format or in a media format to put out to the public.
Yeah.
You have to do something special to it. You have to recognize how you're talking and be aware of your words.
Yeah, you have to, I think, be aware of the audience a bit, because otherwise it's like, why, it's just forming that, I think, relationship, even though, I don't know, there's no relationship there yet with the public.
Yeah, right now there is no relationship.
Except for 1,000 listeners out there.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
We support you. Venmo me $1 if you want to hear more.
So, right now we're just gonna shoot the shit.
Shoot the shit.
What's your week looking like?
Busy. I have class 8 to noon every day. I work every day. I have to network. I have to meet with... I told the head of our program that I would meet with him again, and I told him I would finish a book that he just recommended to me by then. So I have to... In the middle of the party today, some dude's gonna... UPS dude's gonna show up with a book that I have to pick up.
What book is it?
It's called Corporate Goad. It's by this... I forget his name, but he's
Goad?
Goad, yeah, like corporate, and then GOAD.
What is Goad?
I have no idea. It's written, he was a consultant for a long time and a partner at a firm, and so, I don't know, the head of the program talked about, because he had recommended it to someone we know who's a partner at EY, and so they both read it, and so he was like, if you read this, then maybe I could get you in contact with some people, so,
How are you going about your networking that you have to do right now?
Fun stuff. LinkedIn. I still have LinkedIn Premium, which I haven't taken advantage of in the past couple months, but yeah, it's fucking $30 a month. But you need it to an extent for kind of what I need to do, because on LinkedIn you can only reach out to people like through second connections and message them if it's a third connection or more. So like most people I know are like who in the field that I want to go into consulting, and in consulting from IU at like the top companies that I want, there aren't a lot of alumni. And especially that I know, so I just search on LinkedIn for people who went to IU who are at these companies, and then with LinkedIn Premium you get these in messages, so I can, even though we aren't connected or don't have much in common, I can message them and be like, hey, we both went to IU, I'm really interested in consulting, can I talk to you for 10 to 15 minutes?
It's really nice that even just on normal LinkedIn it'll show, it'll connect you through the networks that you already have, like IU or the universities that you're at.
If you go to the university's page, or I do Kelly specifically because for the business school, you can go to see alumni, and then you can filter that by company, by location, and it'll show like all that. Yeah, that's a pretty nice tool.
Well, it's nice because you can even take it from a broader context and not just Kelly, and you might be able to get even more.
Yeah.
Because just for that job that I was doing earlier in the summer, like searching through hundreds of different companies for when I had to do some stuff like mailing lists or things like that, and looking for the correct person for contact.
Yeah.
There were just so many, like these many people from your network from your university are involved in this company, and I was really surprised to see how many people out there I have some sort of connection with these companies that I would have never guessed, or never really thought of.
Yeah, and I'd started doing that stuff kind of like in the beginning of summer, and the kind of later end of summer I took a break from it. But I was just shocked by it, and I think it's one of the biggest misconceptions about kind of networking, reaching out, just how willing people are to work. Because people, like asking, something they've told us a lot in the program is just like asking for advice is a compliment. And, you know, most people like talking about themselves to some extent. And especially if you say only for 10 to 15 minutes, like, sure, like, just schedule time and someone's willing to talk to you.
Just seeing what this person did.
Yeah.
What they might recommend.
Yeah, and so getting that advice and talking, but then also the impression you can make in that 10 to 15 minutes can be pretty impactful if you're
if there's something that they have going on where they're at in their company or that they know of, then they're going to be likely to maybe try to get you in or talk to you about opportunities.
And if you ask insightful questions and show that you're competent, then they might be more inclined to what I eventually want to get, which is a recommendation. Because for a lot of those top companies, they hire mainly through recommendations. So
Gotcha.
Because they get so many, like, they don't even really recruit at IU because they don't need to. Everyone wants to work for them. So
they're not recruiting at universities.
Yeah.
Really.
So my resume is decent, so I would maybe stand out alone, but still that's not enough especially now how a lot of companies, because they get so many resumes, they're searching and filtering through computer systems based off like GPA, experience, which I don't know. I can see how it can be useful, but it can also not be useful because I have a good GPA, but it's not like a 3.8 or something, but I have a bunch of experience while also maintaining that GPA, which, you know, you wouldn't see that through a filter system. Yeah, so I do that. You have to do that, and just kind of talk to as many people as you can, and then through some of the people in charge of the MBA program I'm in, I'm just talking with them and seeing if they can further connect me to people, and it's just all about the connections and then showing that you're competent. And then while you're also doing that, I also have to prepare for the actual interviews themselves, which I can do fine in an interview, but then also with consulting you have case interviews. So for 15 to 30 minutes, usually it's 15 minutes, they'll give you a business problem and then you have to solve it or get to an end, and it's less about finding out the right answer and it's all about
seeing your process.
Yeah, and so there's a framework that they want, like, so no matter what they want you to start with a hypothesis. I mean, it's pretty simple. You start with a hypothesis and then 3 backup points, and then you test each backup point. And if
science.
Yeah, and it is. And if a backup point doesn't work, then you adjust your hypothesis and you keep doing that. And so you go through all those points, and then after that, you know, you give your conclusion, and then in your conclusion, a big thing is just synthesizing it, so making sure that it looks at the company as a whole and is not, you know, isn't segment, you know, all encompasses the whole problem with the solution. And so being able to do that well, and apply that framework to a lot of situations, I mean, it just takes practice. So I had to do practice sessions for that.
Everything takes practice.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing, and realizing what that practice requires, because I can sit here and I can read about it and I can even do practice on my own, but that's not the same as, you know, going and meeting with someone and sitting down and practicing it and being in that like more real situation.
It's about having the experience in the real situation and being familiar with the way that you're going to go.
So yeah, that's what I have to do this fall.
It's a lot.
Is a lot. But I mean, I finished this, and then
Some good stuff though.
Yeah, it's a great experience, and it forces me to be out there and to really, I don't know, to just connect with strangers, which is so important, especially because nowadays it's easier than ever to just start up, connect with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows the impact that even just like a 10-minute conversation can have. Like a 10-minute conversation could get you a job. It could change your life. It could introduce you to someone that you really like, or will change your life.
I think that you can get a little bit from 10-minute conversation pretty easily, even just in so many different circumstances. Like I'm thinking of just going out to a pub or something and striking up a conversation with someone you've never met, just sitting there over a drink and talking about life.
Yeah.
You can get so much out of just talking about life with these random people.
Especially when
it's a really cool thing to do.
Yeah. We've talked about that before, but just when like you having deep conversations with strangers,
Mm-hmm.
it's such a unique thing because I'm never gonna see you. I mean, what's cool is it could lead to seeing them, and like that's like just a jump start to a great friendship. Or it's like I'm never gonna see them again, so why does it matter what I say? Why?
Exactly.
If they don't like my opinion, fine.
I just really like that whole something about going out in the world and having a really straight up, just being right to the point with how things are going.
Yeah.
Talking to someone you've never met, but hey, here's my situation. This is what's going on. Maybe I've got some troubles right now. Maybe there's work problems or relationship problems, or I don't know what I'm doing with my life, and you're just at a pub talking to this random person, some old guy maybe giving you their advice on whatever, and it could be absolutely ridiculous but a fun experience. But I don't know, you might come across some sage advice here and there.
Yeah, it's just honest, and it's like honest feedback from a stranger. The stranger, if anything, wants to console you, but besides that, they don't have any. They're not trying to impress you. I mean, they might be, depending on if you're interested in them or not. But still, being able to get that advice.
There's something about that, just the mask of being out in the world, in public. Maybe in a big city or something, around these people, like you said, you might just never see again. And it's crazy how we're around people our whole lives, and we've got close friends and family and all these people around us and our immediate networks that can be hard to even just talk about some simple things sometimes. But there's something about just being with a stranger, and if you've got something on your mind and someone's there just talking.
Yeah, I think it's that idea that I want this relationship to, this relationship is established and I want it to go well. And so if I bring up any disagreement, then we're going to fight, and that could cause problems. But that's not the best way to deal with it, because by being honest, you're just showing your true self. Like yes, you might disagree and argue, but that's not a bad thing. Once you get past that, you'll both have a better understanding of each other.
Exactly.
And by working through that, you'll show your dedication to that relationship.
Yeah, I think people can be too afraid of being vulnerable sometimes, and you gotta put yourself out there, and that's how you grow.
Do you think the vulnerability might come from bad experiences as a kid, maybe in school, where embarrassment is more likely to happen?
That could be a part of it, just growing up. Well, definitely past experiences, your a priori of just all these preconceived notions of and constructs you have built in your mind of this certain situation that maybe, hey, this is what happened this one time, or I heard someone talking about how they got a bad reaction to something, or you'll see people talking and being out front and open and being attacked on social media and the news and politics. It's just hard for people to be straight out there because of all this past that they have, instead of just being here now and getting it out there.
Yeah, I think you bring up, like, social media does play a big role, especially now, because it's like public shaming times 10.
Yeah,
because it's strangers.
It's on steroids.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I remember Tom Segura talking about, because as a comedian you deal with that a lot, and he said, the best thing to do is when you see that situation start to escalate, just turn it all off. Just delete it all, because I mean, no matter who you are, there's gonna be some you're gonna get thousands of comments, and there's gonna be at least one or two that, you can brush up, but one or two will probably hurt, but because it hurts, like, that person saying it has no context to say that, they have no good reason, because to say
to an
that.
extent, it's really only gonna hurt you as much as you allow it, is what I think is the point coming across from that.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is a public figure or have put themselves on social media, if they have a huge presence, if a huge part of them is invested in going on social media, you're on it for hours a day, you've got a big network, a lot of people follow you, maybe you have millions of followers, or if you're in the public eye for any other reason. But I think it's a lot more applicable to talk about it in terms of social media, because there's so much more people now than ever that are connected in this way, which is pretty weird. But they're not going to be able to be a real person. They can't talk about real things. They can't do anything real because they have these problems. And so I think that people allow all of this to get to them in a bigger way than it should. I don't think that their presence should be so hardcore and invested in this stuff, because you can't be real.
Yeah. When you look at it in the grand scheme of it all, it really has very little effect on, I mean, to an extent. I mean, I guess if you're a big public figure, it can have some impact, but
yeah,
that's also depending on what you put out. If it's just feedback and hate, I mean, that's not gonna affect. I mean, it can affect your life, I guess, but you don't have to let it affect your life.
Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold right now. It's kind of going around.
Yeah, thankfully I haven't gotten sick yet.
Don't speak too soon.
Got an immune system of steel.
Yeah, you don't get too sick, actually. You were barely sick at all freshman year. I remember in the dorms, and I was down and out.
Yeah.
A lot.
No, yeah, when I, yeah, I don't know. I'm always around people who are sick. Like, you get sick kind of often.
Mm-hmm.
When I dated people, and they're sick. I still never get sick.
Yeah.
But just drink a lot of water and work out.
Eat good.
Sleep. Do all that.
Be a healthy person.
Expose your children to a lot of dirty things.
That was actually a big problem. My mom was a clean freak growing up, and I think I grew up with some bad allergies as a result of that, because I was in a clean house. And
I say that too, though, but I don't even think I was really in a bunch of dirty places.
yeah,
I didn't live out in the country or anything, so I wasn't. I mean, I was outside.
Yeah,
as a kid, but I wasn't growing around and rolling around in the dirt. But also too, being outside is just so good, because it teaches your kids good skills, it gets their bodies ready. I was taught, one time when I was doing construction work on this guy's house, his kid, it was out in the country and stuff, and he had 2 kids, and they just looked like they were having so much fun. They were 5 and 6, but they're climbing trees and stuff, and all their outdoor area, it was pebbles and rocks, so it wasn't their feet were calloused and they were young, so they were used to it all being outside. But he was also just saying how he loves this area for them, because they can climb, they can explore, and they're developing kind of good grappling. I don't know, grappling, but just their bodies are
able to understand and react to, maybe manipulate their environment in a better way than some people who don't get to go out and do that as a kid.
And even as a kid, and especially as a kid, like the rocks and pebbles, he was especially talking about how they're constantly walking on uneven ground, and so as a kid they have to, like, they're used to dealing more with their balance issues. Yeah. And they have to, like, their bodies have to balance more than
they're more aware of their environment and their body in it.
Yeah. And then as a kid, like, developing that early, I'm sure it's just priming them to be good athletes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good in just being a person.
Yeah.
Just being aware of you've got this stuff around you. I think you can get that from nature, or being out in the country or something like that, like you're saying, in a way that other people might not get if they don't have the ability. If you're living in a city, you just have to go to a park or something like that, and you don't get the same effect, I don't think.
Yeah, I'll definitely move to a city after college, but I want it to be somewhere where it's still close to nature, just so I can get that.
Yeah.
And be able to be in, I love nature.
Or at least be in the know of where all the great parks around you are.
Yeah.
And then have something accessible within like an hour or two of where you're at, where you can drive to maybe for a day and go on some hikes.
Yeah.
Or if there's a lake or something you can get to.
You just have to find your little bit of nature.
Exactly.
It's about 26 minutes.
Mm-hmm. How long have our other podcasts been?
They've been long, like an hour.
Yeah.
We might have to cut this one short since I still need to eat before our guests arrive.
We got impending
about 700 people.
I wouldn't imagine it's gonna be that huge of a party, just because
switch the time.
It's the beginning of the year, so I don't know if like everyone's in the club yet, or if everyone's in town.
Yeah, true.
Everyone's moving in, things like that.
I'm sure
Welcome Week's always huge on parties too.
Yeah.
So it could be big.
It might be an oversaturated market too.
Yeah. Do we have anything to say about any of the news going on?
I've been fascinated by Tesla. I'm so cool that I've been able to grow up or just be in business school while this fascinating case is kind of going on. Because just Elon too is a fascinating person. I mean, I skimmed over an interview he had with the New York Times, and it was just we were talking about honesty. He was just very honest, talking about he was like, this has been the hardest year of my career yet. He's like, I had to miss my brother's wedding. I had to I slept on the floor at the factory on my birthday here. He's like, he was just, people reach out to him because they're not sure. He was just being honest where I'm really probably he's not in good mental, physical health right now, because of all the stress.
Mm-hmm. I'm still saying his biggest problem right now is he's in a stage where he is still a young guy. He's still a young man.
He's 47.
Yeah.
But
he's not
married.
Yeah. He's fully invested in what he's doing and he loves it. But he needs to grow up and realize that at one point you need to learn how to delegate. Yeah. That's his problem. He doesn't know how to do that. He wants to take everything on by himself, which is great, but
you need help.
Ambition can only go so far until it's going to tackle you.
Mm-hmm. And I know they're looked for another CFO, or just someone to help him. I did call. I was pretty sure that the backer was going to be Saudi Arabia, and I think that's kind of cool seeing that. If they do take it private, that's probably who's going to be there to help. But so I guess that we talked about Tesla the other day, but so we don't have to talk about him too much. But it's just fascinating seeing what's going on with him, and as a person too. I think it's very fascinating just how honest he was and transparent with that.
I like that he's a real person.
Not a robot yet. And then the stuff yesterday I was reading about is really interesting. How Trump, he was talking with the CEO of Pepsi who just left.
Yeah, Ingenuity.
Yeah, and they were talking about how maybe turning the quarterly reporting system to 6 months.
I kind of like that. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm very happy they're addressing the problem of like the focus on short-term earnings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one reason why Elon is taking them private, and so that's something that's I think why it's been in the public eye more. But for a long time, I mean, everyone kind of knows that, you know, if your stock's going to go down if your EPS is 1%, you know, is 2 cents lower than it was it's projected to be. Not even like, you know, again, it's all based off estimates that analysts are making. So it's the problem. I'm glad we're addressing the problem. I don't know if that's the best fix, because also you want that transparency with companies.
It's really like give and take. That's the one side of it.
Yeah, I don't know what the other fix would be, or like how to best address that. I know in Germany, I think it's 6 months, or some other places it's more of I think especially in the EU, it's more of a 6-month system. So I don't know. I liked it was kind of interesting. Elon was talking about too how, because he wants to keep a lot of his shareholders who currently own Tesla, he wants to keep them, they can keep their stock, and so they might just switch to where every 6 months you can buy and sell.
Yeah.
And so that shouldn't be the normal, because you need that liquidity in the market. You need people to be able to, you know, buy and sell whenever they want. But just that focus in some companies would be pretty interesting, because it makes you a lot more thoughtful in what you're investing in.
Yeah. I think one way to go about it is that I like the idea of being able to focus more on long-term things, because I believe that maybe some bigger ideas will take a hold, and companies can move forward on a larger scale if they can focus on the future and not worry so much about these little things.
Well, it's like if you have to do research and development for this product, and it's going to take 4 years to complete, but once you complete that product, it's going to bring in like $10 billion more in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go with that versus some small project that's going to create only like $1 million or like a couple $1 million or something, or even $100 million. But you're going to see that huge drop in money in revenue because of that investment you have to make in researching, and investors may not like that.
I think that could help with some of the problems that we're having, though, with incremental, just some of the changes that we're seeing in products right now are just so incremental. I'm thinking Apple specifically. I really don't like their company right now. They're not doing anything too grand.
They're definitely not innovating as much as they have in the past.
Yeah, you need...
Well, they've just gotten themselves in that cycle of every year we're releasing a new product, which it can be good, because it's like, okay, you have to have deadlines, you know, it pushes people to create the best that they can, and, you know, that puts that pressure on them, which can be good. But as a company that's known for being the best and like providing new things, I think you have to, again, be honest with people and be like, hey, we're working on things that are great, but it's not going to be out for another year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Also, a lot of smart people are working on that.
Also, along with that whole innovation front, kind of needs some more competition. Maybe let in some Huawei or something like that to give a little kick in the fanny to Apple on their iPhone situation.
I think that's a lot just in the U.S. though, because if you look at China, I don't know about Europe as much. I know especially like in China and Asia, I think like Apples are still not. I don't think they're the dominant phone in like the world.
No, they're the third market share. It's Samsung, then Huawei, then Apple, and it's really, I think, more than like 60% of what Apple is doing is their sales are in the U.S.
Yeah. It's really just all in the U.S. here. So I it'd be nice to see more phones pop up. But also, I mean, Apple has done a great job with just making like a barrier to switching and entry. Like when I had a MacBook for a while, when I got my PC, it took me like 2 or 3 weeks to fully switch over.
I've been thinking about maybe getting a not iPhone for my next one, just because this one's cracked up, kind of ruined. I've had it for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't like Apple right now.
The ThinkPad is a fucking amazing laptop. That's what I got, and I would highly recommend that over a MacBook.
Yeah, Lenovo's
Lenovo's great.
They put out some good revenue reports this year or this quarter, I heard.
And they're great. And I think after college I might switch to a new, different phone. It's hard. The biggest thing is just like group messaging.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, we have like for our house a big group message. That's I guess mainly why. And now there are other apps like GroupMe and WhatsApp where you can, if you do need communicating groups, a lot of people do that. So it's even just getting rid of.
Yeah, it would be nice to have maybe some group chats like in one of Messenger or WhatsApp for like our house or something post college, things like that, instead of just directly in your phone messages. And if people do get different phones, it'll be helpful.
And Apple has a great interface. I think that's the best thing. Like it does look, I think, a bit nicer than the PC. But again, everything, like most stuff that's Apple tends to be Apple, while PC I feel like tends to be more open source, and there's so many more apps you can do, which provides a great platform for innovation and kind of choosing what you. It's just, and someone's explained a lot because they had a Mac and they were getting into like gaming and more just streaming and like video stuff, and also they just need a powerful computer. And so like the MacBook is nice because it's like, okay, this is what you get it in like a 15-inch, you get a 17-inch, and it's a good product. It'll last a long time.
Yeah.
But if you want something for a specific purpose, you kind of have to go with the PC.
Yeah.
It's just so much more customizable. But the problem is, it's just you kind of have to know a lot or know someone who knows a lot. All right. Let's cut it.
All right.
Thank you. This is a shorter one today. Join us again next week.
Yeah, sorry we're a little sleepy this morning.
Yeah.
But we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Bye.